Our next guest definitely knows what's going on in the West Bloomfield Township area. He is the Chief of Police, Michael Patton. Thank you, Chief Patton, again for always being with us and taking time out of your schedule to be with us on the MegaCast. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Ronnie. I hope you and Tyler are doing well also.
We are, and I have to say, happy fall to you. Are you and your family getting ready for the upcoming change of the seasons?
We already are. You look out the windows here at the Civic Center site. We have a remarkable number of trees here, and they're already starting to change. You can already see that beauty here in the West Bloomfield area, and it is a remarkable time.
It is always nice to have a window in your office to be able to see outside. So, what else is going on here in the greater West Bloomfield area? Any new updates that we should let the public know about?
Well, before I start talking about anything we have going on in the police department, I want to talk about you folks at Civic Center TV and Radio, 89.3 Lakes FM. I've been here for a while, as you know, 35 years in the police department, 10 years as chief. But back in 1999, I was a sergeant, and we were dealing with the Y2K issues. And for anyone that doesn't remember Y2K, the whole world was going to stop rotating because of the transition and computers, everything from 1999 to 2000. And there were a lot of governmental plans and preparations at the time. And one of the things that we considered was taking advantage of the radio system that was at the high school. And could we use that for emergency broadcasting and if necessary? And at the time, wasn't really feasible. There was limited broadcasting range. It didn't have a standby power source and a number of other variables. So it didn't get moved out that time. Now jump ahead to 2003 when we had the large blackout here in August of 2003. We had 50 million people in the United States without power. It was really a concerning time because it was several hours before we even knew whether or not it was another terrorist attack in the United States. And as a result of the preparations and things we need to do better here in the community, we furthered the discussions about developing the radio system. Obviously, we've always had Civic Center TV as a component here in the community for many years. But the addition of the radio component has really been developed here. And here we are now in the midst of another national crisis. And we look at how well you have done here at Civic Center TV and radio and doing these megacasts. You have broadened the discussion to not only our elected officials at the state and county and local levels, but you bring in other interesting partners, just like Mr. Brown from the farmers market, and all that informational stuff. You spread it to other communities. So well done, Civic Center TV and radio. You have really done well and excelled, particularly during this time of crisis in the United States.
That is really huge kudos to the cable commissioners as well as the entire team here at civiccentertv.com. I just jumped in on this program a little bit later. I was a cable commissioner, but kind of bailed out on them when I went to Cleveland for a short time. But I will say I'm with you because I lived through both of those incidents that you spoke of. And remember, too, I've also worked down south where you rely on your TV, but at some point in time, you lose all of that technology. And what do you have left? You have the radio, and you don't realize it until you lose all other avenues of communication, how important a radio really is.
Right. Well, one of the things we always encourage people to do is to have a radio in their home. Even if it's just a battery powered radio, no batteries will run out. But really the affordability of like little hand crank radios you can get, good quality radios that you can almost hand crank and listen to for forever is really something that every household should have just in case there's an emergency.
My sister just bought us one. She got one for me and my brother as well. And you crank it and it will work just fine. It's actually, like you said, Chief, everyone should have one of those in their home at all time, because in the middle of an emergency is not when you wish you had it. It's when you're happy that you had it, even if it's the first time you've used it and it's 10 years old.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
right. So on to what's going on at the police department right now. Look, you usually are used to seeing our great, fantastic Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson, who handles most of our public information things. And I know Ronnie, you've had a great experience and now the news media, but also public information, working for government agencies. You know how mission critical that was. I heard some earlier comments you made about things going on at the state level government. They should have been prepared. They should have been able to have statements. They should have done all that stuff. So it's always a constant work in process, trying to anticipate what to do next, what to say next, and how to communicate with the community. Of course, our Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson does really a fantastic job of that. He's developed a team of communicators here to help us on our social media and appearing on the megacast, and there's everything. So not everything in the world, involves the police department, which is a good thing. But so many things do funnel through here, and we are a critical part of the community. And it's very important that we, have very excellent communication forums, and Civic Center TV and radio is just one of those. What's going on at the police department right now? We're hiring. And it's always important to welcome new people into the law enforcement profession. Look, I've been here for 35 years. When I started here, there were people working here from the 1950s and 1960s. You think about the generational nature of law enforcement. I hate to say this out loud sometimes, but I've been working here in the police department longer than maybe half the staff in the building have been alive. And again, you think about how things change, you bring people on and they bring new experiences and different outlooks, and we bring them into our law enforcement profession family, and it's very important. But it's really a rich, diverse community of thought and opinion and expertise. And so it's really an important process to bring people in. So we're hiring 2 people right now and anticipate another 2 people probably after the beginning of the year that we're hiring. So I think the hiring window is open till the end of October. And I would encourage people to look at the township website for job openings, or contact our HR department if they have any questions about that.
So, and Chief, as you mentioned, I worked for ATF before, and I was in charge of their recruiting. Hats off to all of you, because recruiting in law enforcement is so difficult. Right now, it was a little bit easier on the federal side as far as getting applicants, but trying to get people through the process is not an easy process. Can you explain to us a little bit about, if someone is interested in law enforcement, what are they up against, and are there age requirements as well?
I think every community, every police department probably has a slightly different hiring process or requirements. Here we require a 2-year degree to apply. So any kind of associate degree or better, that's one minimum requirement. Our outside candidates also have to have already attended a Mission Commission of Law Enforcement Standards Academy and be licensed as a police officer in the state. When you look at the police academies nowadays, let's say an average class is about 50 people, probably, and this could vary a little bit, but about half the class is what we call pre-service people that have not been employed yet by a police department, and they're putting themselves through the police academy, which is really a commitment. It's about $5,000 or $6,000 to attend the academy. It's about 16 weeks out of your life. And if you're working full time, if you're a single parent, or if you have children to take care of, or other responsibilities in your life, that's really a commitment to put yourself through the police academy. And then you come out and we would interview you. It's a very elaborate interview and background process. We're very fortunate here in West Bloomfield that we can be very picky and choosy about who we bring onto the team here. And then they go through, months of field training and evaluation, and only then and only then are they really, really fully integrated into the police department. So it's really an elaborate process. It's a necessary process, I think, as everyone appreciates. And we're very happy to bring new people in. It's always very exciting to do that.
Chief, does it make it a little bit harder for you to try to hire, especially when I believe MSP, as well as I know the city of Detroit, they pay for that academy. So does it make it harder for you to compete with some of these larger agencies and to get a diverse background as well?
We are always looking to diversify the police department. So we go out and target different communities to try and encourage them. Just yesterday, I met with our community partners and I did an interview on Middle Eastern American TV and radio. And I'm sure you're familiar with them. And we interviewed them because they're also a large segment of our community. We enjoy a very diverse community here in West Bloomfield. We are recognized in the state as one of the handful of communities that is a welcoming community. We encourage people from every place and everywhere to come here to live and to prosper, raise their families, work, and go to school. And it's a great environment. Well, we want representation in our police department. So it enhances the gene pool here. It makes us more robust, more nimble, more able to respond to the members of our community that we serve and protect. So that's a challenge. But to your point about are we facing increasing difficulties right now? The honest answer to that is yes, Ronnie, because you look at the dialogue that's going on, and it's a necessary dialogue to a great extent. That does affect people's willingness to come into this profession. One of the questions when I meet with our new applicants, and they spend hours, unfortunately, sometimes with the chief of police, and I ask them a lot of pointed questions. And one of the questions is are your family or friends trying to talk you out of becoming a police officer? And hopefully the answer is no, but sometimes the answer is a little bit yes, because their families or their friends are concerned that don't go into that line of work. Look at all the problems they're having, the stigmas involved. And all I can tell you in my years of service, and I know here, particularly at the West Bloomfield Police Department, it is a very noble profession. It is a very worthwhile profession to go into. But for right now, because of the ongoing dialogues in the United States, it affects our ability to recruit and retain people.
Well, and on top of that, I could imagine recruiting is a little bit different in this virtual world because you're not going to the college campuses or to the community events like you would before and handing out your knickknacks and having that face-to-face time with potential candidates. How is it looking in a virtual world right now?
Well, again, that adds another dimension of difficulty to try and go out and recruit people to come here. It's a competitive labor market right now. Now, look, we offer above average wages, good benefits. We still have our traditional pension plan here for applicants. So we are very competitive in the market. But there are a lot of different variables about why people want to come here versus other agencies. Some people think they're very loyal to the communities they grow up in, or East Side or West Side communities. So we draw from people from all over the state and out of the state. We have officers that we've hired here that were LAPD officers or worked down in an agency down in Texas. So we like to think of ourselves as what I call a destination department. Most officers, not all, but most officers that come here, they'll stay a career here because of the wages and the benefits, the working environment. You can have a meaningful police career here in West Bloomfield, where you have strong support for the community. And we do good training, and we have good leadership, and we have good equipment. And it's really a healthy environment to be a police officer. And we're very fortunate in that regard, too.
Chief Michael Patton with us from the West Bloomfield Township Police Department, joining us today on the Oakland County Megacast. They're neighbors over at the Civic Center Plaza, West Bloomfield Parks, our Facebook partner on today's edition of the program. And Chief, with the news last Friday of the Michigan Supreme Court striking down the governor's executive powers under the Executive Powers of the Governor Act of 1945 and enacting and encouraging enforcement of executive orders regarding to the coronavirus response. What is your police department preparing for or discussing at the county level and at the state level in terms of continuing the response to COVID-19, albeit with different regulations that may be coming into place immediately and into the near and distant future, with the governor's orders now mostly being out of play?
Well, it adds additional, a complexity to what we're trying to do. I think everyone's hopefully committed to doing all the right things. We realize we're in the middle still in progress of this global pandemic, and there's still risks out there. So we're not going to be ignorant of those things. Whether or not the right things that people should be doing on an individual level or in their workplaces need to be done at the force of law, as a matter of, if they don't do it, there's a violation, a criminal penalty or a civil penalty. That's always a healthy discussion to have. We try to be here at the police department when we get complaints, and we get periodic complaints about non-compliance at individuals once in a while, or at a physical location like a storefront or a business. We try to be educational about it. So to date, we've never issued any citations or had to bring in the prosecutor's office to obtain any warrants. But with the change that happened, as soon as that Michigan Supreme Court came down, and again, the basic apparent elimination of most of the governor's executive orders, again, there was a bit of a lag there. Well, I don't think people stopped wearing their masks because they realized, even if they got rid of the seatbelt law tomorrow for some technical reason, people wouldn't sit back and say, well, I'm going to stop wearing my seatbelt because I don't believe in seatbelts. There may be a few that do that, but most people realize that they should still be doing the right things. Right away, Oakland County Health Division issued an order here that would have blanketed Oakland County regarding masks in the county. but within that was like on October 3rd. But as soon as the state issued their order through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, then Oakland County actually rescinded their order. I believe, I can't speak for the county on this, but I believe their belief was now that the state has done it globally for the state, we don't need to just do it here for Oakland County. And the current order from the state really has 6-month penalties and $200 fines for violations of the masking and other provisions in that in that emergency order. And then there's also potential for a $1,000 fine, civil fine.
Chief Patton with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast, and of course, as the weather starts to turn a little bit chillier, although we are enjoying beautiful weather this week, and we appreciate that, Mother Nature, but we do know it is going to be getting colder a little bit quicker, and of course, when that happens, there's typically an increase of stolen vehicles. Do you want to go ahead and throw out the yearly warning to the people who are warming up their cars out in the morning hours? Hey, don't do it. Your car can get stolen.
Well, you don't have a significant history of that. Look, any kind of risk management or way that you can lower your exposure to being a victim of a crime is a good thing. So that seems like this common sense. If you're going to have a habit or there's a need to warm up your car and maybe not immediately attend to it so that you can maintain some physical control over the operation of it, then maybe look at investing in one of these devices that it starts it, warms it up, but it can't really, if you try and put it in gear, it's not going to do. That's a minimal investment to protect a vehicle and not have to draw on law enforcement or something like that. But honestly, Ryan, we don't have a tremendous history of that. But I would not, because of that, I don't want people think like, oh, it can never happen to me, because that's the issue with any kind of crime, and particularly in West Bloomfield. People have lived here for so long, and they've never had any issues but no community is crime free. Yes, we have very low crime, very low violent crime. Majority of the crime we have are property issues or frauds or those kind of natures. But don't think for a minute that there isn't somebody that may take advantage of you, that if you leave something unattended, whether it be a bicycle in your yard, leave your garage door open, or your car running, that you're going to come out 5 minutes later and it might not just be there.
Crimes of opportunity, and we all get so relaxed. We saw the video from the gas station in Sylvan Lake, I think a few weeks ago, where the guy left his car running, and just like that, they jumped in and they stole it. So don't be a victim. Be smart about it, even if you're so comfortable in your own neighborhood. Chief, before we let you go, anything that you want to get out to the viewers and the listeners today?
Saturday, October 24th, during the daytime there, we'll be participating in the twice a year DEA Drug Take Back Day. It's another effort to come in and drop off your unused medications here at the police station. Of course, I think you're always aware that we have the Operation Medicine Cabinet, really 24/7 here, 365 here in West Bloomfield. We'll take your medications in. The only thing we ask people to do is not to bring in liquids or anything that's associated with sharps or needles, because we're not able to take those in. We'll also be supporting the Parks and Rec, their Halloween event here on Sunday, October 25th from 1 to 5 over in their parking lot. And I encourage people to look at the Parks and Rec website to sign up for that, hopefully very well attended event. And of course, we're also looking at any issues related to election safety that are coming up here. And so that we'll be doing all those kind of coordinations with the, even though we're not anticipating any problems, we'll be coordinating our efforts a little bit with the Township Clerk's Office.
Chief Michael Patton with us. He is the Chief of Police over at the West Bloomfield Township. We're going to take a quick break here on the Oakland County MegaCast. Chief, we want to say thank you for your time, and thank you to your entire team for all that you do to support us and to support the community. We appreciate it, not just preventing crime, but also your commitment to the community. I know you guys are involved in so many other efforts of the community and reaching out to them as well. So thank you to you and your team.
Thank you, Ronnie and Tyler. Thank you for what you do too. It's our pleasure to be of service to this community.